as compared to the blue ones. The blue ones don't have that capacity of decomposing faster. So in this case, we see as the red-winged worms emerge as the best worms to be used in vermicomposting. We describe as turning it from dust or rigorous materials into compost. Why? We normally collect compost from decomposing vegetables from the market, and at that moment they are smelling a lot. So when we bring them to the farm, we first dump them somewhere so that they can cool somehow and allow some time to decompose slightly. So after the setup is you get your garden. It can either be plastic gardens or box gardens. In this case, this is a commercial unit where we deal with large volumes of compost. But if you're setting up your vermicomposting unit, first of all, you need a shelter because these earthworms don't want water or too much rain. And then they fear light. So you put them in a particular house where there's some bit of darkening. And also you have to control the birds and other insects from infiltrating their unit. So the reason why we call them organic compost, these earthworms, particularly the red-winged worms, decompose these organic materials into fine particles, of which you can later use them as your fertilizer or your manure. But the red-winged worms or the vermicomposting unit gives us two kinds of manure or compost. There is the solid manure and then the liquid manure. These earthworms in particular help us to control even the smell. When we get the compost from the markets, they're always smelling, they're always like unwanted anyway. But when you bring them to your farm, you can make use of them by introducing earthworms into them, whereby these earthworms facilitate the decomposition process, and then later you get your compost or manure. In that regard, it takes about 4 months for the earthworms to decompose further or fully this organic waste and then give you the organic compost you need. The role of earthworms in this regard, they are the main engine in this kind of composting, because they are the ones that eat that decaying matter and then leave you with the humus. It is that humus then that we use in our gardens as fertilizers. So the role of earthworms is to facilitate decomposition and also add humus into the organic matter. It takes about 4 months to produce a very good organic compost from earthworms. Particularly, I would say every crop would benefit from vermicomposting because it is organic fertilizer. And what we are striving for now is to have organic fertilizers on the market. So the best way to have your organic fertilizer is by using vermicomposting system. There are two kinds of manure in this case. We have the solid manure and then we have the liquid manure. The solid manure comes from these solid organic materials. We use organic materials such as avocados, jackfruits, watermelons, pineapples, all that kind. So with time, these organic materials decompose by the help of the earthworms. Then they give you that solid compost. Then as these earthworms are decomposing these organic materials, they later put in their humus and whatever. So with time, that liquid is also collected, but it takes also 4 months to form that liquid compost. Then you don't just use that liquid compost anyhow. You have to dilute it in water in a ratio of 1 liter of organic compost, liquid compost, into 3 liters of water. Then there you are able to water your crops or vegetables.
Besides producing quality fertilizer, vermiculture also offers an environmentally friendly way to managing organic waste.
Actually, these earthworms, in particular the red-winged worms, are eco-friendly organisms. You can handle them with ease. They don't cause any harm. Their main challenge is they fear light. So you have to protect them against light and these black ants They are the main challenges of these earthworms. And in that regard, when you bring in the organic materials, at that moment, they are like smelling a lot. But when you introduce these earthworms in it, these earthworms tend to remove every bit of smell in that compost. So in particular, you get a clean, non-smelling compost from these earthworms. And after, you can hold them freely in your hands. Then afterwards, maybe you can wash your hands. But they help to control the smelling part of the organic waste, whereby now after 4 months, you get clean compost. No smell, no what, just pure compost. The biggest challenge when you are making vermicompost, you don't have to expose them to too much light. And then you have to keep them away from birds. You know, birds like to eat these earthworms a lot. And then you have to keep them away from these black insects. Those black insects, they are small, but when they are in big numbers, they tend to attack these earthworms. So if you are dealing with vermicomposting, you have to mind about the birds, scavenging birds, the small insects, and then the sunshine, and maybe too much water, rainfall. So that means you have to construct a shelter where you keep these earthworms, so that no harm can attack them. Yes, there is market for vermicompost. Actually, every phase of vermicompost has market. The first phase would be the earthworms themselves, the red-winged worms. The red-winged worms can be fed to your chicken, poultry. They can be fed to pigs. They can be fed to fish. And then the fishermen like them a lot, as they use them as baits, the fishing community. Then when you go to the compost itself, the compost itself is sold, it is beneficial. You can use them as your organic solution. Then the liquid fertilizer is also used as manure in your gardens. So every part of vermicomposting is beneficial. You know, vermiculture gives us two kinds of manure, the solid one and the liquid one. The solid one may be bulky in terms of packaging or transportation. But all in all, the solid or liquid both work hand in hand. What I will tell you, for those of you who are out there and you may need to start up vermicomposting, it is really an interesting venture. It can make you money. These worms just eat anything that can decompose, and of which they are accessible through the markets. Just go to the markets, pick those decomposing organic waste, bring them to your farm, decompose them first for the first 3 weeks, then later introduce them to your worms. Then they will start from there, feeding them and then turning them into very good organic compost. So if you're out there and you need something to venture in, you may decide to do vermicomposting. They are eco-friendly organisms, no smell, no disease, they're just free living organisms. Yeah, we normally sell a liter of vermicomposting liquid. Actually, we call it vermi-tea. A liter of vermi-tea, we normally sell it 3,000. Then the solid compost, we normally sell it 2,500. Yes. So whichever way you go, it is all beneficial to you.
the piped water, which is common in towns. The best duration would be at least 12 months. That is equivalent to a year. You'll have at least good-sized fish ranging from 1 kilogram to at least 650 grams, which is a table-sized fish one can consume. Fish like tilapia, this 1 kilogram, we can give it out at 15,000. But catfish, 1 kilogram, we give it out at 20,000.
Urban farming continues to prove that agriculture is not determined by the size of the land, but the knowledge and innovation of the farmer. From greenhouse production and backyard gardens to quality seedlings, vermiculture and fish farming, every small space has the potential to become a productive enterprise. As more Ugandans embrace smart farming practices, urban agriculture is helping improve food security, create employment, and build sustainable communities. This has been NBS Agribusiness, bringing you knowledge that transforms farms into fortunes. Thank you so much for watching NBS Agribusiness. My name is Alex Mugasha. Until next time, cheers.
Next. Brought to you by
The Vinca Live and Loud concert is brought to you by Swans Avenue and Skyview. Skyview, more flavor, more fees, more fun.
NBS Live at 9.
A very good evening to you and welcome to Live at 9 tonight. My name is Sheila Sime to take you through the bulletin. Now, whatever you're in the mood for, be it kids content, be it entertainment, be it news, MTN TV by Afromobile is here for you. What does that mean? Whatever you want to watch, whatever you want to stream, you can get it not anywhere else but on your phone. What do you have to do? There's a QR code here and you can screen it, so you can scan it and you'll be able to get the MTN TV by Afromobile. Now let's get into the headlines. In the news tonight, opposition legislators retreat to strengthen legislation accountability and parliamentary oversight role despite minimal numbers.
We want to get to a point where an opposition MP stands up on the floor of parliament. They are releasing content.
Our engagement was to sign a memorandum of understanding.
Analysts say NRM's MOU with independent MPs set to strengthen parties' advantage.
Not these drones of ours of taking people without numbers.
Stakeholders call for stronger cross-border cooperation and tougher enforcement to end human trafficking.
We must move digitally to counteract this inhuman activity of trafficking humans.
And the good news is exporters welcome Uganda Airlines' new Accra-Kigali routes, but high fares threaten trade gains.
The cost of air travel is still high, unfortunately.
This is NBS Live at 9 with Sheila Dusime.
Let's get into the news. Uganda's opposition legislators have held a two-day retreat aimed at strengthening their capacity to effectively execute their parliamentary mandate despite being outnumbered by the ruling party. The retreat brought together opposition MPs and key stakeholders to strategize on parliamentary coordination, sharpen legislative proposals, strengthen government oversight, and identify areas where the opposition can build consensus on issues affecting Ugandans.
The 79 opposition legislators in the 12th Parliament face an uphill task of advocating for and advancing dissenting proposals and positions against the ruling government's side of more than 300 legislators. Despite their minority numbers, the opposition plays a critical role in holding government accountable, presenting alternative policies and views, scrutinizing public spending and providing checks and balances. To better prepare its legislators for this role, the opposition in Parliament held a two-day retreat to strategize on how to effectively and efficiently execute its mandate and coordinate parliamentary business despite its numerical disadvantage.
We want to get to a point where an opposition MP stands up on the floor of Parliament. They are releasing content, and that whatever it is that they are saying cannot be disputed by someone in government because they have prepared.
The leader of opposition in Parliament, Joel Senyonyi, hopes that following the retreat, proposals and resolutions brought forward by opposition legislators will improve in quality and become persuasive enough to convince their ruling government counterparts to find common ground on issues affecting Ugandans.
Because we are not in the opposition just to oppose for the sake of it. And that's why we have got to be factual. When we say that healthcare is limping, we quote statistics to say, so this is how much of our budget that we have allocated to healthcare vis-a-vis the need. We are not seen as those ones, they're just opposing because they're opposition or they hate our country or that kind of thing. No.
And we want to call on our colleagues in the ruling party. We are not enemies. We are stakeholders in ensuring that this country is better transformed and better developed.
Besides MPs, the retreat was attended by several resource persons, including representatives of civil society and other stakeholders. Among them was Bishop Joshua Rwere, representing the Interreligious Council of Uganda. The legislators raised concern over what they described as the silence of religious leaders as Ugandans continue to face prosecution and other rights-related concerns. The bishop, however,
strength. Dr. Paul Chalimpa says legislation is first discussed and agreed upon within party caucuses, which in this case gives NRM an edge.
Parties, through their caucus, influence policy and legislation through robbing their members at caucus level. So, and that is only to the advantage of the majority party, which is now the NRM.
Through legislation, political parties will now seek to translate the promises made during the 2026 election campaigns into government policies. But for the opposition, its smaller numbers in parliament do not necessarily mean an end to its influence.
The opposition is at a disadvantage, but all means and at all costs.
Retreats are important because it helps you to prepare, it helps you to assess where you're standing, and helps you to prepare for the business ahead. Ideally, every party should have a position.
As the 12th Parliament begins its work, the political realignment of independent members of Parliament is likely to shape not only voting patterns, but also the direction of policy and legislation over the next 5 years.
Beyond the NRM's numerical strength, policy analysts say the opposition should not surrender its role in shaping legislation. Center for Policy Analysis Executive Director Timothy Chimonge says the opposition can still engage the ruling NRM to build consensus on key national policies.
Opposition must realize that they are short of numbers, and it's a reality that is facing them. And so the opposition must be able to find mechanisms to which they can woo the other members of parliament to align with their thinking, and not necessarily even to come to the opposition, but there are things that will come on the floor of parliament, and the oppositions understand what their agenda is. They should be able to engage the other members of parliament to support what they think. There are matters to do with accountability as it appears today. The fight of corruption, of course, it's a non-partisan, but the opposition should be able to identify what are their specific agendas and how they can be able to engage the members of the NRM. The truth also is that there are many things that affect this country that are non-partisan. And so the opposition, beyond the numbers, because they do not have the numbers, must find ways in which to engage, in which to infiltrate the other side.
President Museveni has pledged to continue appointing women to key government positions. In a message delivered by Vice President Jessica Alupo during the Golden Jubilee celebrations of Kangole Girls Secondary School, was established in 1976 with a mission of expanding access to education for girls in Karamoja, where cultural barriers had long limited female participation in formal education. Alupo, who once served as the school's deputy head girl, reflected on her years at Kangole Girls, saying the institution laid the foundation for the leader she has become today.
When we were in Kangole Girls Senior Secondary School, we did enjoy the leadership and the management by the Sacred Heart Sisters. And our headmistress was Reverend Sister Margaret Conroy from Canada.
She encouraged the current learners to remain disciplined, work hard, and take advantage of the educational opportunities available to them.
Allow me to encourage the young girls who are in Kangole Girls Senior Secondary School that you are very lucky now because you have the role models. You have the Minister of Ethics and Integrity here who was in Kangole Girls. And she was my dormitory captain in Blue Nile. I don't know whether there's anyone who sleeps in Blue Nile.
During the celebrations, the Vice President also delivered a message from President Yoweri Museveni. In his message, the President reaffirmed his commitment to promoting women in leadership positions, saying women have consistently demonstrated strong management and leadership abilities.
The NRM introduced positive discrimination in favor of women to bring women to the fore. For instance, for university entry, we have the 1.5 additional points given to the girls. Women are free to stand for any elective office, but they also have additional seats which they compete for. That way, we have been able to increase their numbers in public office, and women have proved to be better leaders and managers than the men.
School leaders hailed the institution's contribution to the education of girls over the last 5 decades, noting that Kangole Girls has produced professionals and leaders serving in different sectors across Uganda. Among the former old girls include Vice President Jessica Alupo, Minister of Ethics and Integrity Rose Lily Akello, Napakuman MP Faith Nakut, among others.
For decades, the Nubian giraffe has roamed the vast landscapes of Murchison Falls National Park. The park straddles the districts of Bulisa, Nwoya, Chiriandongo and Masindi. But now a new home is being created to expand the range of these critically endangered species. The Uganda Wildlife Authority has begun a phased translocation of 12 Nubian giraffes from Murchison Falls National Park to Ajai Wildlife Reserve in Madiokolo District. Linda Ndumwami takes us through the carefully choreographed operation.
The day begins with a briefing before the vehicles head out into the vast plains of Murchison Falls National Park. The rangers and conservation teams gather to receive instructions for the operation ahead. Every person has a role to play. The mission is to safely capture and transport 3 Nubian giraffes to their new home in Ajai Wildlife Reserve. But before the work begins, there is also a moment to boost morale. For a team preparing to handle one of the world's tallest animals, coordination, courage and teamwork are critical. Then, the teams head into the field.
Roger, we are on your right.
It begins with a chase, but this is no ordinary pursuit.
You be closing.
In the vast plains of Murchison Falls National Park, conservation teams are looking for a very specific kind of giraffe.
We want this one.
Not too young, but also not too old. And ideally, a female with many years of breeding ahead, with the intention of building a healthy population in a new home.
So what you are witnessing and documenting today is the translocation of Nubian giraffes from the northern bank of Murchison Falls here to Ajai Wildlife Reserve.
The process requires precision. Teams must control the movement of the giraffe, secure it safely, and ensure that the animal does not injure itself or the people involved. This is where the operation becomes a carefully coordinated team effort. The giraffe is guided to what is called a chariot, a specifically designed piece of equipment that receives the giraffe after capture and then transported to a wooden funnel designed to direct its movement onto a waiting track. The inside of the transport track is padded especially around the areas where the giraffe's long neck could come into contact with the structure. The first 3 giraffes selected for the operation are females. The Uganda Wildlife Authority says the animals must be within an appropriate age group and have sufficient breeding potential to help establish a sustainable population.
We want to expand the range of these critically endangered Nubian giraffes because, as you are aware, there's a lot of oil and gas activities going on here, tourism development, climate change, bush encroachment.
For these first 3, the journey from Murchison Falls to Ajai covers more than 100 kilometers. The condition of some sections of the road, especially during the rainy season, means the number of animals transported at a time must be carefully considered. At the end of the journey is Ajai, a reserve that Uganda Wildlife Authority is working to transform from a largely empty landscape into a thriving wildlife destination. Ajai covers approximately 166 square kilometers, once home to a rich variety of wildlife. Decades of insecurity, poaching, and encroachment took a heavy toll on its animal populations. Today, The reserve is being repopulated with rhinos, buffaloes, Uganda cobs, zebras, and other species.
We've not finished the rhino translocation to Ajai. After this exercise, we are going to embark on the rhino work to Ajai.
The 300 deer and giraffes have been successfully translated from Murchison Falls National Park to Ajai Game Reserve with the aim of strengthening conservation and improving tourism in the area. Now, it's also expected to expand the range of this critically endangered species.
The big dream is that we want to see the economy of this place growing bigger and bigger, and the Madiokolo district to be included in the money economy using tourism.
But getting the giraffe to Ajai is only the beginning. Their movements and behavior will be monitored as they adapt to their new home. For a species facing shrinking habitats and growing conservation pressures, this is more than a relocation, and the long-necked giants are becoming part of a new chapter in the return of wildlife to West Nile.
The Minister of Internal Affairs, Ephraim Kamuntu, has urged human rights investigators to embrace digital forensics to combat human trafficking. He says as traffickers increasingly exploit digital platforms, government agencies must strengthen their technological capacity. Kamuntu made the remarks during a 5-day training in Nakao, where 70 senior police officers received specialized training in investigating trafficking cases.
Several stakeholders involved in combating human trafficking met for a 5-day training to discuss ways of tackling the cross-border vice and strengthening the investigation and prosecution of trafficking cases. The stakeholders discussed how investigations can be conducted professionally and with respect for the rights and dignity of victims while ensuring cases are handled fairly and inclusively. The Minister of Internal Affairs, Ephraim Kamuntu, described human trafficking as a global challenge that requires a scientific and coordinated response with the goal not only of ending the vice but also restoring hope and dignity to victims.
Not these drones of ours of taking people without numbers. The drones, the science of drones. We must move digitally to counteract this inhuman activity of trafficking humans.
Stakeholders emphasized the importance of collaboration among government institutions and other key actors, backed by adequate funding and political will to ensure traffickers are brought to justice.
Rigorous investigation of online recruiters. These digital fraudulent job adverts, you should have the capacity to really see these guys are potential. Just like the example you are talking about.
Uganda is the only permanent member of the governing board of UNAFRI. So we call upon the government of Uganda for more financial support to enable us to deliver for Africa.
Deputy Inspector General of Police James Ochaya commended the training, describing it as critical in strengthening investigations. He urged police officers to properly handle and preserve exhibits from crime scenes to ensure stronger evidence-based cases against suspects.
That means we must build capacity of our community policing so that we alert everybody down there, the children, the school-going children, even those up, so that they know what trafficking in persons is.
I've been failing to open up, but after this training, we have got some skills like how to interview a victim, and the victim opens up and he gives you the right information.
Wasteful for us to waste a lot of resources, examine the crime scenes, recover evidence, package it, handle it properly, transport it to the labs, it is analyzed, and then finally when the results are out, which are to be used in courts of law, and we cannot prove that the chain of custody was maintained, or we cannot prove.
The high prevalence of human trafficking has partly been attributed to poverty, with many Ugandans seeking better economic opportunities abroad and becoming vulnerable to exploitation. However, stakeholders have also raised concern over the limited consequences faced by traffickers, with some cases ending in acquittals or minimal sentences. They warn that weak enforcement risks making human trafficking a lucrative and persistent criminal enterprise.
Feedback brought to you by. In business, you need advice, solutions, and sector expertise when it matters.
Get the office space. It's great. What's next?
We get it. Absa Business Banking.
Let's get into the feedback question for today. We start with the question: what more can government and other stakeholders do to curb persistent cases of human trafficking? The hashtag is NBS Live at 9. Let's take a look at some of your feedback. Okay, we start with Richard Adam: by carrying out sensitization and increasing vigilance. Okay, that is from Richard. We move on to James Kamya: by strengthening policing and policy framework. That is from James Kamya as well. That is some of your feedback that we have for you tonight. Just to remind you, as we go into the break, you need to download the MTN TV by Afro mobile app, so you're able to enjoy as much content as possible from across platforms: entertainment, kids content, we have news. Everything is on that app. You can scan the QR code here and you'll be able to download the app. Live at 9 will take a short break and we'll be back with more stories.
Can I have a light, please? What is this?
Castle Light, the best testing light.
Try it.
Try it, try it, try it.
Guys, look at this post.
Nothing hits like extra cold. Castle Light. Try it.
MTN voice bundle. Yeah. Load. Hey. Hello, Mama. Hey, it is me, your son, Opio. Hey, now, Mama, listen to me. MTN has the offer. Yes, it has the offer. You load from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Now they have free MTN to MTN minutes. And those minutes are there all day. So you load, you'll thank me later.
Load an MTN voice bundle between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. and get 3 free MTN to MTN minutes valid all day. Dial *100 *21# and get your free minutes bully daily. Free your fire with free minutes from MTN. Together, our connection is unstoppable. MTN.
Hello, Mr. Mkasa.
Hello, how are you?
I'm okay, sir. Are you the broker?
The original one.
I was told you have very good rentals.
That is right. How many bedrooms do you want?
I want 3 bedrooms.
Okay, did I tell you of the price?
Yes, of course. 500,000.
No. This side, the salary went a bit high.
Why?
Because the paint we use is of good quality. So the price gained the value.
Which paint?
Global paint.
How?
For the ceiling, for us we use Global Matte. And for the inside walls, we use Global Silk Vinyl.
Okay, tell me about the outside walls.
Outside we use Global Weather Coat Emulsion so that the walls don't peel.
I'm really impressed. The precision you put while painting, I'm willing to pay any amount.
That is true, because here for us quality is paramount and the price becomes umite.
Global Paint, a reliable product.
School feeding programs are not just about food. They are about education, health, and equality. Every child deserves to learn without hunger. That is why our school and leaders should make school feeding a priority.
Well-fed children are more attentive and perform better in school. As a parent, it is your duty to ensure your child has access to school meals. Together, we can end child hunger and malnutrition by ensuring every child has school meals. This message is brought to you by World Vision Uganda.
New Tusker Premium Cider. Crisp, delicious apples crushed and blended to create a unique taste explosion.
You wanna make tasty food and say Ranai. You want to do that doesn't still Ranai. Candaling one no ya nai Ranai. Sika de buto one nai Ranai. Nailo akro ya sing Ranai. Sika de buto one nai. Candaling no ya nai.
Cook better, sell better with Nile Healthy Cholesterol-Free Cooking Oil and non-sticky wheat flour. Nile, yenyabo.
Welcome back. In other stories, Uganda prison population has continued to rise, concerns with thousands of inmates spending long periods on remand as cases take years to be heard. Human rights activists and lawyers now want the judiciary and other institutions in the justice chain to prioritize remand cases and make better use of technology to speed up administration of justice. They argue that this could significantly reduce congestion in the country's prisons.
Prison congestion has once again come under the spotlight, with the Uganda Prison Service Commissioner General Dr. Johnson Byabashija pointing to delays in the hearing and trials of some cases as one of the factors behind the growing prison population. Appearing before Parliament's Committee on Defence and Internal Affairs, Dr. Johnson Byabashija said the prolonged stay of inmates, including one who has spent 12 years on remand, is contributing to congestion. Uganda's prisons currently hold 82,606 inmates, but lawmakers say blaming the judiciary alone does not provide the full picture, pointing to several factors within the justice system. The Shadow Minister for Internal Affairs, Denisise Kabira, says institutions involved in the administration of justice must work together to address the problem.
It is beyond now Uganda prisons and the police or even the judiciary, but the will of the executive to make sure that there is expeditious processing of suspects, so that those that are victimized, those that are condemned, can serve their sentences and then others can be set free.
Lawyer Galandi Tony Kire is calling for a greater use of technology to connect institutions involved in law enforcement and the administration of justice. He says improved coordination could help cases move faster through the justice chain.
In our case, in my opinion, if we are used to use ECMIS to resolve the issue of congestion, let us have this ECMIS, the electronic management system of court, linked with NIRA, linked with police, okay, linked with prison. This will help us to track.
Sekabira and Kire also believe that not every offense should result in a lengthy prison sentence. They want authorities to consider alternative forms of punishment for minor offenses.
We have a very bad law that allows police to arrest you in suspicion or in trying to make sure that you don't commit crime. So they arrest, you are charged, you are remanded, and then investigations start.
We should employ what other neighbors are doing, like Kenya. Kenya rolled out community service, that there are certain cases that don't require you to go to prison. We have so many roads here that need unclogging.
The judiciary, however, says that the delays in hearing cases are not deliberate. Judiciary spokesperson Justice Eremi Mawande says courts are facing several challenges, including limited financial resources.
These trials are premised on availability of funds to manage the trial process. We have witnesses from diverse places. If the money for facilitation of witnesses is not available, then we still have a what? a problem.
Mawande says despite the challenges, the judiciary has continued to increase court sittings and promote mediation to resolve disputes without lengthy trials. Of the 82,606 inmates currently in Uganda's prisons, 44,841 are convicted prisoners, while 37,139 are on remand. The prison's facilities are meant to hold 23,437 prisoners, meaning now it is housing an extra 59,169 inmates, putting the occupants at 352.5.